Gwei Sulia'n Johnson, Daily Quebec Book Book. Hey, I'm Will, and I'm here to show how I would make a simple pack flute. Pack flutes are the distinct Mi'kmaq style wooden Native American flute. So I'm going to show you how I would make a flute out of Japanese knotweed, one of the most invasive species of plants that we have. It's naturally hollow. It's almost like a weak green bamboo. They're not in the same family or related, but that's kind of what it looks like. So I'll show you how I'm going to go about doing that. What I have here is Japanese knotweed. So I've cut it to a certain length, and I've sanded both ends. You'll notice here it's fairly hollow. I have this membrane, this connector piece here. I have the membrane inside punched out, and on this end I've kept it. Basically, the idea is we need to have two air chambers. This is the end we'll be blowing into, and then we need to have it go through a little channel here, and then it needs to be split here, our breath, and it'll go half over the tube and half in the tube, and that'll make it whistle. We'll have to make a little covering after we make the channel, and we'll punch some holes in to give us different notes. So I'm going to be using burning as the primary method of making these holes. I've also cut and sanded. Either method is good. We're going to burn the sound hole and create the splitting edge. So we're going to now make the block. So I'm going to make my block through making an incision here, a little bit of a saw a little bit up here. I'll make a cut on the bottom piece here with a knife, and then I'll split a little sliver off the top from below here to above here, and that will become our block. The edge of the block here will perfectly line up with the edge of our hole because we made them at the same time. So our next step here, now that we have the underlying knotweed exposed, is we're going to make a air supply hole up here, very similar to here, and then we're going to make a track for them. So I'll be back when I'm done that. So burning the air supply hole here, and it's good to mirror and balance out everything you do on one side. So I'm going to give it a little blade, even though that's not really necessary. And now it's all about making the tract. So the tract is going to be deeper on the air supply hole end. So the end closer to your mouth will be deeper in the tract channel than the side that's going to deliver the air to the splitting edge. So this is called a fipple in English, and it's one of the few different ways you can make woodwind sound, basically, for instruments. Just carefully there, line it up. Have to widen it slightly. The left-hand side there, but that's no problem. It's completely fixable. So now here's the simple part. Now that we've done all that hard work, now what we got to do is glue the block on. So we need to have an airtight seal on the sides here up until we hit the edge here of the air supply hole. And once again, because we burnt that sound hole first, when we line up our flute block here, it should line up perfectly with our hole. Bam. Now we should be ready to play our first note. Okay, so see if we can play a note here. That sounds pretty solid. You can test with different tuning apps now what the sound is being played, and if it's a little too flat, if it's not sharp enough, all you do is you shorten this end, the end farthest from your mouth, and it will raise the pitch a bit. So now we're going to move on to making the fingerings, the finger holes. So we'll be going from bottommost to topmost. So this should be the lowest note that's able to be played on the flute up to the highest note. And I'll be doing the same method like I did with my other holes. I'll be using the wood burner to make an initial hole, but instead of using the square, I'm going to be using the round end of the burning rod. So we'll check in when that is done. So now I'm going to burn the finger holes with the burning rod. And last but not least, so after this is done, I'll take a picture for you guys, and then I will play it and we'll see how it goes. So we have the final result here of Ibuwakan, a pack flute made from Japanese knotweed. Let's see how it sounds. So it sounds okay. Um, a lot of the time that I spend making flutes out of wood, a lot of the time is dedicated to actually hollowing out the material itself. So with knotweed being already a hollow plant, it really does save a lot of time, and I think it would be fun for beginners to play around with now that you don't have to sit there for days carving out your wood after splitting it in half. It'll be a lot of fun to play around with while we're in quarantine. The knotweed itself is a very invasive species. That doesn't mean that you don't respect the plant, but we don't really have to worry about it propagating. Uh, any part of the knotweed basically will turn into a new knotweed plant, and the roots and the stalk itself grows several meters every year. So it's a good material that we can play around with now. And I hope you enjoy and stay safe.